Welcome to Y11 Audio. I'm Alex Alvarado. Thank you for listening. MAC football, EMU football, it all begins in, as of this recording, 38 days from now. 38 days from now, that'll let you know that it's July 24th. The clock is ticking. Alex, where's your content? Alex, where you at, man? Alex, if there's anything you do on this show, it's apologize for not doing enough. Let me start with a little personal note, and then we're just going to get into the stuff that you actually care about. One, again, for the 100th time, sorry. Number two, why do I keep doing this? Not to make this into a whole therapy session, but guys, just, be nice to yourself. Take it from me. Be nice to yourself. Long story short, if you guys know me, I've always had, I shouldn't say always, but since college, right? Ever since I started writing about EMU and the MAC, back when I was with the student paper and then with Hustle Belt, so on and so forth, now doing my independent stuff, a dozen years later. Literally a dozen. This isn't where I want it to be, and this is a me thing, not, a listener thing or whatever. And so I just got really depressed with myself and really just not happy with the output that I've done, even though I've had a lot of people tell me, hey, this is important work. Hey, this is good stuff. I'm not the level of reporter I thought I could have been when I was, a 20-something-year-old in a journalism class, listening to journalism professors tell me, you know what you should have majored in? Literally anything else. But here you go. Let me teach you about law. So, long story short, because I didn't do a good enough job of being a reporter growing up and all that stuff, and, I've had other stuff that kind of sidelined me from the newspaper industry. We're not getting into that. Over the past few months, obviously this isn't my full-time job. I have a job outside of here. I need to prioritize getting my bills paid, as should you. In doing so, I just had to take a hiatus of sorts. This was never not on my mind, just doing this and getting back into it. Quitting was, a thing that I thought about a lot. But I just can't do it. I can't do it, especially now knowing that the season is, God, it's just right there, man. I live across the street from, I shouldn't out myself like this. I live very, very close to the football field. And Rynierson and Ostrike, I live right off of that. So I hear, the pinging of the metal bats from the baseball players that are getting their reps in early spring, all summer, whether or not they play for Eastern or they're just, there for their other teams, right? There's a lot of kids just like taking advantage of the outdoor batting nets. I listen to that, and then when it's football time, when it's spring practices, and pretty soon once they start their August practices, I hear all the horns and I hear the music that's playing from Rynierson Stadium, and I hear the guys getting ready on the field, on the new Crosby Field, I should just say. Man, time's coming. It is coming. It is coming up quick. So, long story short, I like MACtion. I like football. I like doing this. I need to keep doing it. I need to tell myself, and, for whoever's listening and needs to hear this too, maybe you can take a note from this. Don't worry about believing in yourself, because I'm not interested in believing in myself anymore. I'm just not. I'm here. I'm here. I'm always here. I love myself. I don't have to worry about that. I just need to do it. I need to do it. Don't worry about believing in yourself. Just do it. Why? Because I want to. Speaking of things that I want to do, finally, a video game that we can all play. I don't want to talk about it too much right now. I would like to reserve some time later to talk more about the video game, and not just like a one-time deal. I can keep up with it I'll create some content, but I'm not gonna like jam it down your throat and make it like the biggest deal, because that's not why you're here. You're here for real football. You're here for real EMU stuff. I may turn to YouTube every once in a while, though. Keep that in mind. However, I'm playing the video game. I'm just gonna guess 50% of the listeners are playing the video game too. College Football 25. I just want to quickly know, how's your dynasty going? I know you're playing with Eastern if you're listening to this. I assume you are. How is it going, man? Are you having a lot of fun? Because I am absolutely loving it. Some of the things that people are complaining about, like the rankings logic and just like some of the little like bugs that are in the game, like I saw one clip where like LSU was coming out of their tunnel, their team was getting all ready, and like a Cal player was like in the LSU huddle just like getting revved up for the game. Like, what are you guys doing? That was a fun Twitter clip. People kind of, I've noticed, hate the rankings logic, the playoff logic. I think it's hilarious, man. Like, the more unrealistic it gets, it doesn't have to be so far like crazy for, you know, it to be fun or for it to be bad. But I don't know. I think it's an enjoyable level of what the Fness, you know? Like, I just think when I saw, so I'm playing a dynasty. We're not going to get too much into it, but I'm doing one dynasty, started a coach level 1 at Eastern and just like taking it from there. I have it on varsity setting. It's just the first one I did because I just want to have a dynasty to cling on to and to have fun and not feel overly challenged. Challenged enough for the newbie that I was. Now that I'm a week and a day veteran, or week and 2 days veteran, I should say, I'm killing it. I can scale up to All-American. That's no big deal. But my first one, my baby, should I say, that's a lot of fun. I'm not playing every game. I'm playing pretty much just offense, and even that, I'm not playing every game at that. So I'd say 70-ish% of this dynasty has been simulated if you take out at least half the gameplay, right? And then just sim through some of the offensive, stuff that I'm just like, all right, I don't feel like playing Akron. Oh, there goes a loss, It's a lot of fun, man. It is a lot of fun to just like get into it, build your own story, think about what's happening, just like read all the little details and just like, this is your world. This is what you're doing. It's a lot of fun if you're into it. One of the cool things that's happened outside of me just like recruiting like a freaking maniac in like the best way possible, right? I've won the first year. I missed the MAC championship game, simulated a lot, don't really care. The second year, simulated a lot, but still made it in with Ohio in the MAC championship game. We were both 6-2 in conference play. I had like a 9-3 record. Won that, went to the Camellia Bowl, played against Marshall, simmed that, lost. The next year, which was year 3, I added UMass and UConn just because I didn't want an odd number of teams. And, it's not really an endorsement of UConn in real life to the MAC, but I digress. Added them to the MAC just to, see what happens. What happened? Me and UMass, we went to the MAC championship game, both with 6-2 conference records. Beat them there, and then went to the Camellia Bowl again to play Marshall. Had to play and win that because I didn't want to, lose a revenge game. So that was pretty important to me. But it's pretty sweet. So now I'm in year 4 of this dynasty. 2027 is the year. And I just pulled up one screen just because, I'm curious. I don't look too much at all of the rankings. I don't look too much at, just all the details. A little bit here and there. But here's some WTFness that this Heisman Trophy, runner, the watch, the Heisman Trophy watch. If you pay attention to the Heisman Trophy watch, you'll notice that this game loves some receivers. Like, if this game had its way, a receiver's going to win the Heisman, like, every other year. And right now, The favorite to win it, I'm not going to tell you a name because that's not important. If you know football, here it is. Wide receiver from Wisconsin who wears number 38. The name is irrelevant. Did you not hear what I just said? A wide receiver from Wisconsin who wears number 38 is the number one. Yeah, he's your odds-on favorite to win the Heisman in this video game right now for my dynasty. So that's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. That should never happen, but that is pretty sweet to see a Wisconsin receiver up so high in the fake Heisman trophy standings. All right. Well, I'll focus more attention on the game at some point, but I saw that and I'm like, dude, what? What? Is this real life? No, of course not. Oh, yeah, and who's in second place? A true freshman quarterback at Wazoo in the year 2027. I don't think I got rid of the Pac-12 in there, or the Pac-2, I should say. All right, here's the drill. I'm going to read off last year's, going from number 1 to number 12, the MAC team passing yards per attempt average, right? So we can assume that we know like who the starting quarterbacks are running down the list. And then once I finish that off, I'm going to snake it back up from 12 to 1, and I'm going to rank the MAC QB1's, quote unquote QB1's at this point, right? It's late July. Who actually knows on probably a handful of these teams? Very good idea for most. So from 1 to 12, last year's leaders in the MAC. Toledo led the MAC in 8.2 yards per attempt, followed by Miami at 7.9. Ohio, Bowling Green, both tied for third at 6.9. Central Michigan at 5, 6.8. NIU, right in the middle, 6.7. Kent State, 6.5. Surprised to see that, actually. But so few passing attempts. 160 is the fewest, but 160 completions, I should say. 305 attempts. Followed by Western Michigan at 6.4. And then in the fives, we have Akron at 5.6. Buffalo also at 5.6. EMU, 5.5. And Ball State at 5.4. Of the 12 MAC teams, of the 12 MAC teams, 8 of them will have new QB1s this year. 4 of them, if we can, not that all of them started out the year as QB1s, not that all of them were able to finish as QB1s, but I'm still going to consider them QB1s because of just how their respective seasons played out. 4 of them are returning their starting quarterbacks. 8 of them have to have new guys behind center this year. Obviously, at number 1 was Toledo. They're leaving. They're going to be missing DeQuan Finn. The MAC, there was either Penny Boone was the MAC Offensive Player of the Year, and DeQuan Finn was the the MAC MVP. One was the Offensive Player of the Year. One was the MAC MVP. It doesn't really matter. Just kind of pick your poison with that. Anyways, top quarterback in the MAC last year went to Baylor. At number 3, obviously, was Ohio, so Curtis Rourke, he's at Indiana. Number 5, CMU, Jace Bauer, he went to Sam Houston. 6, NIU, Rocky Lombardi, he graduated out. 8, their starter for the year, for the season opener, eventually relegated to the bench, Trayson Buonio. He's at BYU now. Akron graduated a couple of guys. Buffalo, obviously, Cole Snyder, he transferred to EMU, so he'll be finishing up his career there. EMU's starter, Austin Smith, transferred out. He's at Austin P now at the FCS level. And Ball State, their starter for the year, he got relegated to the bench after some injuries happened outside of him on the offense. Their dual threat guy, Kyle Kelly, for as much excitement as he gave the team, for as close of a game that he was able to give Ball State against Toledo especially, hit the portal, came back, switched to cornerback. So he's not going to be a quarterback right now. Don't worry, they got some youth that'll be coming up. All right, 12-1. Here are my QB1 rankings entering 2024. Actually, before I even say that, let me just go into just quickly, how did I rank these? I went by what have I seen? That's the biggest thing. What have I already seen? What can I sort of project? And that's about it. That's about it. Yeah. Like most of it is what have I seen and a very little bit of what can I project. So that's kind of it. That's really it. Those are the two big points to me. We're going up from 12 to 1. Number 12, we have Kent State with Tommy Ulatowski coming back. Michael Alemo, who transferred from Purdue to Kent State for last year. Yeah, those two duked it out in the season on the field, of course, like, not on the sidelines like that. No haymakers thrown. Tommy Ulatowski, he eventually won and kept the starting role for Kent State. Michael Alemo, he's out. I don't think he landed anywhere. It's very important for me in these rankings to, see something out of these guys. I don't like ranking guys who I've never seen before ahead of guys who I have seen. That said, and this isn't totally an Ulatowski thing. Ulatowski is obviously not an incredible athlete to me, but neither are the 10 other pieces that are around him on that offense. Kent State's going to take a step up defensively first. Offensively, I wonder how far the defense takes them, because I don't know how far Tommy Ulatowski can take Kent State. I don't know how far Tommy Ulatowski could take Kent State if all things were equal, if I were drafting these quarterbacks onto the averages MAC team sort of deal, right? I don't know how far Tommy Ulatowski could take the averages MAC team. Would be happy to be wrong there. 11. I'm giving NIU this spot. Didn't love the way Rocky Lombardi's career just finished. He's out now. Would have had NIU much higher than this had he stayed. Even through his bad moments, I still liked Rocky Lombardi. But still, it's not a quarterback's team, right? It's not the team you play for if you want to be like the star quarterback in America, let alone the MAC. Yes, it's a program that has allowed it. Yes, it has allowed a NIU quarterback to get to, to New York for the Heisman, right? To be a Heisman finalist. But this isn't that NIU. It's a different looking NIU. Jalen Macon comes in from Arkansas Pine Bluff, from FCS. Hasn't played a crap ton down there. I'm looking at the school's page right now. It's telling me that he's played in 10 career games, 169 total rushing yards, 937 total passing yards. So not a whole lot of playing time out of him. He does have some versatility. He does have some size. And, Arkansas, NIU isn't going to go after like those big time quarterbacks, but it will go after guys who want to try to elevate their games more. And I think that's what Jalen Macon is in a good position to do. I don't know if he'll immediately win over the job. Ethan Hampton's still there, but Ethan Hampton, I didn't really love his performance last year. So, yeah, I think Macon gives NIU a lot to work with, especially for how much they want to run the ball, for how much running the ball is the identity of NIU. Like, that's it. But, if Jalen Macon can, if he can keep up with the plays that Thomas Hammock calls, because that guy, he doesn't run 5 plays. He runs 28 new plays a week at minimum. And so Jalen Macon needs to be ready for it. Number 10, I'm going to Buffalo. Who's losing Cole Snyder bringing in Jack Shields from Old Dominion. The second straight Old Dominion transfer to come to the MAC. Last year was Hayden Wolf, who obviously we'll get to later. This year it's Jack Shields. Jack Shields, didn't play a ton. 6 games last year as a sophomore. I don't really know too much outside of that, but I do know this. And you know this if you've been keeping up with my work since at least July. Or not July. Today's July. January. I trust Pete Lembo. I trust Pete Lembo. I trust Pete Lembo with new quarterbacks. I trust Pete Lembo with new quarterbacks that you're not expecting to be well. This is me projecting a coaching job for Buffalo. I don't know. And you can't read Buffalo's offensive stats, especially in the passing game, and apply them to really anything this year. Not in my belief. I don't think Cole Snyder is as bad as his numbers showed last year. I don't think the rest of the offense is as bad as the numbers showed. What I do see is a team that, was led by a coach who eventually, and I'm not throwing out conspiracy theory here, I promise you, but boy, did that guy get a crap ton of defensive reps out there. Because at no point did I see Buffalo just on its third downs. When was it not 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, and then just going for a short play? Not a hungry offense. Not a hungry offense on the whole. So I just didn't love what Buffalo looked like. I don't trust that the team will look the same. I don't know. Man, there's 12 spots, and I got to give somebody to 10. So, yeah, Jack Shields, new guy, you're there. Number 9, Akron. No, I am not impressed with the way Joe Moorhead's offenses have played in the MAC so far. I have not loved Akron's style a lot, but here's the thing. And this isn't going to be... I don't know. Last year was just ugly, man. It was just ugly. Akron's always an ugly place to play for. Losing DJ Irons when they did, as dramatically as they did with his injury, which really, really sucked, man. Loved seeing the way that guy hung around for as long as he did to just try his best, but obviously couldn't stay upright for, his entire last year. Would have been way cool. Jeff Undercuffler, not the most impressive backup, but impressive in moments. He stepped up when he needed to, helped come back and beat Kent State. Ben Finley's there now. Both of those guys I just said, Irons, Undercuffler, they're gone. Ben Finley Jr. of Cal and NC State fame. He's at Akron. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I mean, he wasn't the best quarterback, at his other stops. It wasn't the everyday starter ever. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Akron's in a better spot defensively. I think that I like Akron's defense, actually. It's in a pretty decent spot, especially at D-line. If Akron's defense can make some stops, and if Akron's offense can just be any more efficient and any more healthy than what it showed last year, I think that's a step forward. Number 8, I have Ball State, led by Caden Simonza, freshman last year, who got into a few games, looked pretty decent, was able to still wear a red shirt. Watched Lane Hatcher play and start essentially the first half of the year before things went sour around him, especially at tight end. They wanted to be a 21 personnel group. One of their star, I think it was Brady Hunt, one of the star tight ends went down, and they really, 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 really wanted to be 21 personnel. Kyle Kelly, he ended up being the new starter because he gave them the mobility that, Ball State just didn't have otherwise with Lane Hatcher behind center, because he doesn't have Kelly's legs. Kelly doesn't have Hatcher's arms, but Hatcher does not have Kelly's legs. That is also for damn sure. Anyways, Hatcher's gone. Kelly, he switched positions like we already said. Simonza looked pretty good. pretty promising. Who's to say? But you know what? It's very, very important to me that a team like Ball State has the experience in a freshman, that it was able to, hey, go to the SEC, play at Kentucky, play at Georgia. You know, you don't have to like light the world on fire. You don't have to be the best quarterbacks out there. You don't have to be like the best backup quarterback in the MAC at the end of that point. But you just have to look impressive in moments. I thought Simonza looked pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I just like him at 8 at this point. CMU, I have them at 7, even though I have not seen Joey Labus, former 4-star by, was it the industry rankings that he's a 4-star? Yeah, high 3-star out of high school by the industry. 24/7 just gives him a low 4-star rating out of high school. Transferred out of Iowa. Didn't put up a lot of stats at Iowa, but you know what? Even if Joey Labus was the everyday starter there, you know, he didn't play at all last year in 23. Did play in 22. Only attempted 24 passes. Who's to say if he could have thrown more than 24 passes in a single season if he ended up being the starter at Iowa? Goes to CMU, which misses Jace Bauer. He went to Sam Houston. They still have Bert Emanuel, but he is not that kind of runner. But CMU, now they have 2 guys. They still have 2 guys. It's important to have the guy who can like throw the ball downfield, and then Bert Emanuel who can just like, I don't know, run it on 3rd and 8. Well, you probably don't want to run on 3rd and 8. Maybe a 2nd and 5, but I digress. I would just expect some good things out of Joey Labus. Apparently he had a really good spring there. Not 100% surprised about that. Why I have him as low as I do is, you know, we just haven't seen it. I don't know if the rest of the pieces around him are going to be able to pick up the pieces for him. But you know what? They've done it before. Like CMU's able to outperform what I expect them to do at this point. I'm not that inexperienced here, but I just haven't seen enough out of him. And honestly, like these whole rankings plus the next one, I'm gonna say these are hard when I don't have a lot of like eyes on you because you just haven't played a lot, not just in the MAC, but anywhere. Because if you're an incoming transfer and you haven't played at whatever, but you got a few snaps in garbage time at a Big Ten school like Joey Labus has, like it's hard to read into that. Yeah, but if you have talent, then there's something there, right? Ohio in at number 6, Parker Navarro, who's been there for 2 falls and a spring after he transferred from UCF. He's going to be taking over, it looks like, for Curtis Rourke, who transferred out to Indiana, which really, really stinks to see. Would have been much better if he went pro, in my opinion. But whatever. You do what you want, my man. Parker Navarro, you know, could be a decent dual threat option. Yeah, I don't have too much eyes on that, but I do expect that, you know, for the time that he's been able to spend with Ohio, you know, Caden Simonza was a true freshman last year. So he's had a calendar year at Ball State. You know, Tommy Ulatowski's had time at Kent State, but like, I don't really love the whole situation at Kent State, just on the field. But Parker Navarro, out of all these guys that I've mentioned, has at least spent the most time with his team, right? I think that's where he's going to have to get the edge over Joey Labus at Central, over Ben Finley at Akron, over Jack Shields at Buffalo, over the FCS transfer at NIU. Parker Navarro is going to get the edge just for having spent enough time in the system to do so. And so if he has a really good year, I think just experience as an Ohio Bobcat, being with that team for at least months more than the other guys around him, I think that matters. Number 5, I have EMU. They brought on, of course, Colt Snyder from Buffalo. What did I say a little bit ago? Don't look at the numbers all too much, but do look at this number, 5. This is his 5th year. I'm sorry, not 5, 6, 6, 6, 6. 3 of those years are at Rutgers. 2 of them were at Buffalo. And year number 6 is going to be at EMU. He's going to be replacing Austin Smith, of course, who, just didn't have the offensive year. The rest of the team didn't, but he definitely did not have the offensive year that this team was looking for. So now he's trying his best in the FCS ranks. Cole Snyder, he brings a lot of experience. Whether or not it was super, super incredible, he had 900 fewer passing yards from 22 to 23, right? On 70 fewer passes, 60 something. Just didn't get a crap ton of opportunities. And then when he did get a chance to throw, he was told to throw just so short. So I didn't love what he was coming from. And when you read these stats, you cannot just especially looking at completion percentage, you cannot put this sport through, a tire swing. You know what I mean? Not all these completed passes look the same. Cole Snyder, I think he's an efficient guy. I would assume that he's got some smarts considering how long he's spent in the sport and how many schools he's been at the FBS level, not just going from not to speak any say anything bad about let's say Jalen Macon's situation where he's coming from the FCS at Arkansas Pine Bluff. I can imagine that spending your freshman year at Arkansas Pine Bluff, thinking about, the coaches that they have, thinking about the resources that they have, thinking about, everything that goes into building a good football institution, right? I have to imagine that his freshman year at Arkansas Pine Bluff is different than the freshman year that Cole Snyder spent at Rutgers, right? Even though Rutgers isn't, the football team that we're all thinking about when it comes to the Big Ten, they're at least in the Big Ten. They're at least, they at least have the support that the Big Ten schools would have. They at least have the coaching at the level that the Big Ten would expect, not just from, the guys on the sidelines, but the analysts, everybody else away from the scene that everybody focuses so much attention on. Cole Snyder at least had 3 years of being around Rutgers support, and we can say this with Joey Labus too, and Ben Finley, who are coming from Power 5 schools, right? And Cole Snyder then, who took his knowledge, went to Buffalo, had a pretty good first year, and then the second year wasn't as, fun to watch. I don't know. I think Cole Snyder has a lot that he wants to prove. I think that, all these guys have chips on their shoulders, right? But I think Cole Snyder, he only has the 1 year to show it. And so I think that's going to be a good driving force. I think it's going to be pretty exciting for him. I think that even though EMU doesn't have the experienced receivers to his left and right, to lean on. I follow the team pretty closely, so I think that there's enough talent out there. You don't need to be like Toledo or whatever to make the MAC championship all the time. It just makes it a little bit easier when you're efficient and you know what you're doing out there. And if you can just add one more wrinkle people weren't totally expecting, I think Cole Snyder's going to have much better numbers than he was able to show at Buffalo in either year. I know I said I don't totally love Bowling Green's quarterback situation a ton. I still honestly don't. Connor Bazelak comes in at number 4, though, for Bowling Green. Him and Camden North, Scott Loeffler has a thing where he just loves to have 2 quarterbacks where the backup runs a very distinct role. It's a very he wasn't on staff when Chris Leak and Tim Tebow were together. He was on staff in Florida. Scott Loeffler was when Tim Tebow was a senior trying to win the Heisman. But if you think about, like, if you're old enough to think about what Chris Leak plus Tim Tebow looked like in Florida's offense at the time, where one guy was just like kind of doing it all, and then another guy was just like waterboying with the ball up the middle, right? I know Waterboy played linebacker. But that's kind of what they do. They have like a good 1-2 punch going, at least an efficient one. I know Connor Bazelak wasn't 1,000% healthy last year. Probably won't be this year too. Most don't return to be like more healthier than they've ever been before. But he's a guy that was a 4-star out of high school, does have, the experience of being at Missouri, being at Indiana before he is, however old he is now, at Bowling Green for, now his second year. He's done decently in games, especially when he was at his previous stops. Not super sexy last year, but efficient. Obviously got the job done. Obviously helped take Bowling Green another step up in the right direction in the win column by 2. I wouldn't be surprised if Bowling Green, and I know that I've already put out my predictions, and I don't think that Bowling Green's season on the whole, like their record total, will look as good as this team could look with your eyes on the field. They could look like an 8-win team, but not finish with 8 wins, if that makes any sense. But if Connor Bazelak has like a huge step up, like Phil Steele has him as his second team All-MAC quarterback in the preseason, which I didn't see that last year. But Connor Bazelak does have a little bit more of like an athletic background than, some of these other guys that we've already talked about already. If he can make a step up, I think Bowling Green's going to be in a good spot. I know that they lose, the really, really good receiver from last year, Odu Hilaire. I think Connor Bazelak does have some talent, though. If he's totally healthy, would expect a good step up out of Bowling Green. Western Michigan, I loved the way Hayden Wolf played. I fell in love with him pretty early, maybe a little bit too hard. But still, he's one of the very few returners. He's somebody that ended up starting in the back half of the year. I wish he could have helped, bring Western Michigan from the 1-6 or 2-6, one of the two, from that start to a bowl season. That would have been really nice to see. I loved his game. I thought that he impressed right away. He looked very confident. He knew what the heck he was doing in a fast-moving offense with a first-year head coach. I think that the team's fall had less to do with Hayden Wolf and had more to do with, the head coach and the former defensive coordinator just not being good friends, right? Just like visibly not being good friends, like on the sidelines, just not being good coworkers to one another in public. Obviously, there were cracks in that foundation that just like trickled onto them getting to a 4-6 record and then just like finishing. I think it was like 4-8 that they did. I don't know. Still, I think Hayden Wolf's pretty talented. Throws a good ball. Throws a little different in the style too. Give me Hayden Wolf and Western Michigan at number 3. Number 2, Toledo, of course. We're replacing DeQuan Finn, who went to Baylor, with Tucker Gleason. Tucker Gleason, a lot of people just don't see it. Here's what I see. Tucker Gleason has known his offensive coordinator since his teen years at least. I cannot talk. But Tucker Gleason and Rob Weiner have worked together for a very long time down in Tampa, Florida, where they won at least one state championship together at a very high level. Rob Weiner's not recruited, but he's developed high school quarterbacks at the time to, go to Toledo and other like P5 institutions. Philip Ely being one of them, right? Tucker Gleason, he's spotted it for DeQuan Finn, previously over the last couple of years too, even had like won a game with a broken throwing hand. Like an incredibly tough kid, can do it on the ground and through the air. Obviously, the surrounding pieces I trust a lot when it comes to Toledo. But when you not know, like, like knowing like your teammates for, I gave Parker Navarro some credit for spending 18 months in Ohio. Not really 18, but whatever. For spending over 12 months in Ohio. There we go. Dude, Tucker Gleason's known his coach for 8 years? 9 years? You don't think that matters? Like, you don't think that they were like crying? Do you think they were not crying a river when it came to DeGuan Finn leaving to Baylor? Because I'm just going to assume something. They were okay with it. I'm just going to assume they were okay with it. Yes, he was the top player in the MAC, especially on offense. I don't think they were too hurt by it. I really don't. And at number 1, as if anybody had really any doubts, honestly, Brett Gabbert, whose only real concern is, can you please just finish a season? Can you please just finish a season? We've seen you come off the field a couple of times with, some really bad injuries. Hate saying that. If it happens again this year, Avion Smith will not be there to help you out. He's now at Alabama A&M. Brett Gabbert, 7,893 career passing yards, 59 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, has played all 5 seasons, including his true freshman year in 2019 when he won the MAC Freshman of the Year and the MAC Championship in Detroit over Central Michigan. This is a very, very rare story, especially like in this time with the transfer portal as prevalent as it is, for a guy like him who has an older brother, right, with like some cachet when he was just a recruit. A guy who doesn't have to be compared to his older brother, Blaine, anymore. Like, we can just accept Brett Gabbert for who he is. I, as a fan of this sport, I give him a lot of credit for sticking out, for as long as he chose to do at Miami, which obviously he's getting some benefits out of, but, they're not the most flush, place to be when it comes to, hey, NIL is a thing. Do you want to play at Miami? If NIL is important, you don't want to play at Miami. But still, he stuck it out there. He's been the center of this offense. He's done so much better than what he showed as a teenager when he threw 11 touchdowns over 14 games. He is so much better than he used to be. He's a legit, in my eyes, has a legit shot of playing his way into the NFL. I don't think he's going to be an early round pick, right? I don't think he's going to be at that level. But I think he's going to, he knows how to work. He has his priorities, and it isn't like chasing that next dollar. It is strictly getting better at the football. And if he stays on the field fully healthy and can play a full 12 plus games this year, the entire league is better for it. I don't know how else to say it, but the entire league is better if Brett Gabbert can play an entire season at his best. The MAC really needs guys like Brett Gabbert, Tucker Gleason, Connor Bazelak, Joey Labus, Caden Simonza, Jack Shields, hell, Tommy Ulatowski. All these guys need to step up and play their absolute best. I have not been a total fan of the way this league's quarterbacks have played, especially over the past, let's call it 5 years compared to, I don't know, pre-COVID and the decade before that. The entire conference is so much better when guys like these shine, not just in November when, the lights are on Tuesday and Wednesday, but these Saturday afternoons where, 5,000 people are in the stands. When these guys turn it on for so few people, dude, this league is incredible. This league is absolutely incredible for it. And I'm really, really hoping Brett Gabbert just Yeah, man. I'm really hoping the world of this guy.